The shocking truth about surrender, what the Bible reveals at 3 a.m. You'll never believe this. In the dead of night, when most souls are lost in sleep, a chilling truth waits to be unearthed. It's a truth buried in ancient text and whispered among shadows. On a dark, moonless night, at exactly 3 a.m. believers say it's the witching hour something strange unfurls. The creaking floorboards, the chilling breeze that slithers through the cracks, they're more than mere nighttime sounds. They're harbingers of an awakening, a mysterious pull towards a revelation that could shake the very core of belief. Imagine a flickering candle illuminating an old Bible, pages yellowed and tattered, as it flutters open by itself, landing on a verse deep in the heart of the Scriptures. For ages, these passages have sparked curiosity, controversy, and deep-seated fear. Surrender, such a simple word, yet it's steeped in blood, sacrifice, and revelation. Bright letters that jump off the pages tell stories of those who let go of everything in the wild pursuit of spiritual connection. There's the tale of a prophet who wandered a barren desert, his heart heavy with doubt, till surrender opened the gates to visions of glory beyond imagination. Can you feel the tension building? They say the moment you surrender is the moment you lose all control yet gain everything. Picture it, the stillness in the room, cut by the echo of a heartbeat drumming louder and louder as thoughts race. What if surrender isn't about losing? What if it's about discovering a destiny written in stars that no one dares to gaze upon? The hairs on your arms stand on end as the very air buzzes with possibility. The clock ticks ominously, reminding you how this ancient mystery has rippled through time, a truth that, if left undiscovered, could lead an unsuspecting soul down a dark path of despair. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the clock tolls 3, a sudden dark shadow crosses the candlelight. It's fleeting, just a trick of the eye. Or is someone standing there, watching, waiting for the right moment to free the messages tucked away behind generation after generation of misunderstanding? There's a tremble in the air, an unshakable feeling that nothing will be the same if one dares to dive deep into the depths of surrender. What will happen when one brave heart chooses to step into that unknown? The night holds its breath, and a question hangs, unanswered, in the darkness. What truths await when the light breaks through the storm? Time hung heavy in the air as the clock struck 3. The candle flickered violently, casting long, twisted shadows that seemed to dance across the walls. Every crack and creak of the old house felt alive, as if the very foundation was whispering secrets it had held for centuries. And in that stillness, the tension thickened, wrapping around the room like a cold fog. Suddenly, a shiver ran down her spine. Sarah couldn't shake the sensation of being watched. The shadows pooled together in the corners, forming shapes that flickered at the edge of her vision. She glanced at the open Bible, still resting on the table, its pages now trembling, a silent plea or perhaps a warning. The very air felt electric, a charge that swelled in her chest like a storm about to break. "Show yourself," she whispered, half terrified, half intrigued. The shadows shifted, and for a fleeting moment, she thought she saw a figure, cloaked in darkness, emerging softly behind the candle's glow. Her heart raced, drumming a frantic beat against her ribcage. Images of the stories she had heard, all those warnings about this hour, flooded her mind. The tales of those who ventured into the unknown, who dared to seek and surrender. What had they found? Salvation? Or a fate worse than death? The flickering light finally stilled, drawing her gaze back to the pages of the Bible. Her fingers trembled as she reached to turn the fragile paper. The ink seemed as alive as the shadows that loomed. With each word she deciphered, she felt a strange connection, a pull towards something bigger, something profound. It was then that she found it, a verse that had never gripped her like this before, for I know the plans I have for you plans. Could she ever truly know what those might be? Would surrender mean embracing the unknown, a leap into a void filled with both hope and despair? Doubts spiraled in her mind like mini whirlwinds, but curiosity shined brighter. She needed to know. At that moment, the whispering shadows began to deepen, swirling faster around her. Sarah gasped as the temperature dropped, freezing her breath in the air. The voice came clear, a low murmur humming through the room. Do you dare to surrender? Her heart pounded, hammering against the wall of fear that surged inside her. Was it the voice of the past? Or something more sinister? Just as she gathered the courage to respond, a heavy wind burst through the room, slamming the window shut with a deafening crack. The sudden noise jolted her back to the present, pulling her from the brink of decision. Panic set in. No! She cried out, clenching her fists. I want to be afraid. Show me the truth. As the shadows recoiled and the wind died down, an ethereal glow began to surround her, illuminating the darkness. Suddenly, a vision unfurled before her eyes, a kaleidoscope of faces, places, and stories that intertwined with her own. Each moment whispered of choices made and sacrifices paid. But then, a figure emerged distinctly among the swirling scenes, an apparition so familiar yet shrouded in the unknown. It was her mother, standing in the light, yet flickering in and out of reality, as if testing the bounds of time and space. Sarah, the figure beckoned softly, the voice radiating both warmth and urgency. A flood of emotions surged through her: happiness, fear, longing. Mom? She gasped. Is that you? But the moment shattered like glass as the shadows lunged forward, swallowing the light in an instant. The voice faded, echoing as though it had been carried away on the very wind that had slammed the window. Darkness enveloped Sarah, leaving her breathless, heart racing, and desperate for an answer. The question hung, heavy and unbearable: what was it that her mother had to reveal? As silence draped the room, Sarah understood this was only the beginning. The journey into surrender had just started, and she was about to uncover truths that would ignite a fire within her soul. But was she truly ready for what lay ahead? The candle flickered back to life. In the silence, another darkness loomed just outside the door, waiting. Patiently, ready to challenge her vision. What waited beyond that threshold? Only one way to find out. The shadows twisted and danced, their forms a chaotic symphony of darkness. Sarah's breath quavered in her throat as she fought to steady herself. She was no longer sure of her own reality. This house, this very room, felt like a threshold between the living and the lost. A pulse of fear surged through her, but with it, a flicker of determination ignited. Come on. She urged herself. You wanted the truth. Now face it. Gathering her wits, she edged toward the door. The details of her surroundings blurred, the walls felt too close, as if leaning in, eavesdropping on her silent struggle. And then, a soft sound crawled through the stillness, a whisper, barely audible, yet distinct. Sarah, her heart leaped, echoing like thunder in her chest. The voice. Her mother's voice. Different yet familiar enough to cut through the darkness. It beckoned her, a siren in the shadows, hinting at untold stories of pain, of courage. Mom. Sarah's voice cracked, but the word escaped, a desperate plea. What do you want from me? But the only response was silence, and the shadows surged, swallowing the last flicker of candlelight. Heart racing, she pressed her palm against the cold wood of the door. The wood felt alive, warmth radiated, as if it held the pulse of everything that had ever happened here. She pushed the door open, and it groaned as if reluctant to give way. A gust of wind swirled past her, carrying a chill that seemed to wrap around her bones, igniting the terror trapped within. What lay beyond awaited, cloaked in uncertainty and whimsy. Beyond the threshold, a corridor stretched, dimly illuminated by distant flickers. Each step felt like a weighted choice, as if the floorboards beneath her were teetering on decisions made long ago. Suddenly, a painting caught her eye, her mother, smiling, radiating warmth. It drew her in. The woman in the portrait wore a vibrant dress, one that sparkled brighter than the muted tones around it. But in her eyes, there lingered shadows of sorrow. "What are you hiding?" Sarah whispered, entranced by the painting. The moment hung heavy around her, electrifying the air. She reached out, brushing her fingers against the frame, and the moment she touched it, visions erupted in her mind, the room turned, the shadows morphed, and she was thrust into vivid memories. She saw her mother young and hopeful holding a baby in her arms. Laughter rang out, pure and light. But just as quickly, the scene shifted. The laughter turned to tears, the baby vanished into thin air, Sarah's breath caught. A cold realization gripped her. Was that her? Had she been lost, trapped like a ghost in time? And more importantly, why could she not remember? As the images swirled with dizzying intensity, another voice surged forth. This one was dark, the tone dripped with malice. "You shouldn't have come here, Sarah. Some truths are better left buried." She screamed, yanking her hand away from the painting. The corridor twisted menacingly. The shadows lunged toward her as an icy grip closed around her throat, squeezing tight. "No!" She fought back, a surge of defiance igniting within her. "Show me. I deserve to know." And just like that, the world around her fragmented, breaking apart with fearsome clarity. The corridor vanished, and she stood in a vast, swirling abyss, the whispers of forgotten souls echoing around her. "Who are you?" she yelled into the void. "What do you want with me?" From the shadows, a form began to emerge. It was unmistakably familiar, yet entirely wrong, a twisted version of herself? No, it was something deeper, something darker lurking in the echoes of her mind. As she peered into the depths, a voice echoed back, "Are you ready to face your own reality, Sarah? The answers you seek are not what you expect, but only one way will lead you home." The void pulsed, and she felt herself being drawn inside, tangled in the web of her own fears. Could she truly confront what lay hidden beneath her mother's legacy? Just then, a shattering scream pierced the darkness, and panic gripped her heart as the shadows began to surround her once more, tightening. Their embrace. What was she meant to confront? And could she really handle the truth about herself? Only a heartbeat remained, and the darkness was closing in fast. The darkness tightened its grip, a choking haze wrapping around her. Sarah's heart raced as she felt herself teetering on the brink of something vast and terrifying. The whispered echoes of long-lost souls enveloped her, murmuring secrets she couldn't quite grasp. "Stop!" she shouted into the abyss, her voice fierce, defiant. "I won't be afraid." With that cry, something inside her shifted. A warm light flickered at the edges of the void, a stark contrast to the cold shadows swirling around her. She surged forward, propelled by sheer willpower, desperate to escape the relentless torment of the unknown. "Is it my fault?" she begged into the dark, her voice faltering. "Did I cause this? Is that why I can't remember?" The shadows paused, as if considering her question. The oppressive weight lifted, if only slightly, and a new voice emerged from the depths, softer this time, yet filled with a chilling authority. "Sometimes the truth is buried deep within, buried by those too afraid to face it." The words wrapped around her, sending shivers down her spine. What truth? What was hidden? The images of her mother, the laughter, the tears broke apart like fragile glass scattered by a storm, each fragment a memory waiting to slice through to her core. Just as Sarah thought she might regain her footing, the twisted version of herself lurked just outside her line of sight, teasing her with glimmers of recognition. "Embrace me," it whispered, luring her deeper into the darkness, promising clarity mixed with chaos. "You cannot escape what you are." "No!" Sarah cried. "I want to let you take me." But instinct clawed at her mind. She couldn't shake the feeling that perhaps the version of her that was urging surrender was a part of an even larger truth. The shadows rippled, taunting her, and she felt her own resolve wavering. "Face it, Sarah. You can only uncover the past by confronting your fears. You can't run from your own darkness. The voice echoed, reminding her that every secret she feared held the keys to her liberation. With newfound resolve, Sarah took a deep breath and straightened her shoulders. I will face it. Whatever it is. I want out of this abyss. The swirling darkness shifted, revealing a flickering image, a memory. This one felt different. It was heavier but warmer, drawing her in. A moment softened the chaos, pulling her into a time long before the pain. She saw her mother, eyes bright with love, cradling something against her chest. Was it Sarah? In the blink of an eye, the joy turned brittle. The image flickered, breaking apart in a beautiful yet agonizing display, revealing faces that morphed into anguish and regret, their eyes filled with questions Sarah felt deep within her marrow. What is wrong with us? Sarah demanded, tears stinging her eyes. What happened here? A chorus of whispers surged through the void, and then silence fell, heavy and suffocating. Sarah felt the weight of expectation, the world turning on the slender axis of her next words. Reveal it to me, she whispered, watching the abyss swirl with shades of despair and hope. Let me see the truth. With each syllable spoken, the world around her seemed to pulse with energy, shadows twisting and coiling tighter still. A crack formed in the fabric of the darkness, revealing a path forward shimmering, yet treacherous. A figure emerged slowly from the light, shadowed and familiar. Panic washed over her as she recognized the contours, the stance. It was her mother, both young and aged, cloaked in the past and present. Sarah, the voice trembled, a mixture of longing and warning. Are you ready for the truth of who you are, and who I am? Every fiber in Sarah's being screamed to step away and protect herself, yet part of her yearned to know. She could feel the pull of destiny, a tug that mingled both clarity and confusion. What comes next? She pressed, anticipating, hoping for a glimpse of what lay beyond, and as the shadows writhed, the response came not in words, but in the rush of memories that flooded her mind like a tidal wave, crashing, breaking raw and violent. The depths of the truth she had sought were finally about to be unveiled, but perhaps at a cost she hadn't yet fathomed. As her mother's eyes locked onto hers, Sarah braced herself. The moment had come, but was she truly ready to confront the legacy of pain and love that bound them both? Sarah felt her heart drop, a deep void punctuating the silence between her and the ghost of her mother. Her world spun as the shadows twisted, fingers curling and uncurling in trepidation. What do you mean? She stammered, desperate for clarity. The figure in the light hesitated, as if weighing the enormity of what lay ahead. The truth, her mother whispered, is both a burden and a release. To know it is to feel the weight of all that has come before us. Lightning flashed through Sarah's mind, quick images of her childhood, fragments of laughter, and a relentless tapestry of sorrow. The truth lay just at the edge of her consciousness, wavering like a mirage in the desert. Mom, she cried, beginning to tremble. What did we lose? What did you lose? With each heartfelt question, the shadows around her flickered as if to protest. Her mother's face darkened with sorrow. We lost our light, Sarah. You were always supposed to be our hope, but darkness found its way in. It buried our secrets deeper than we could ever imagine. Her words felt like daggers, sharp and tenuous, piercing through to the core of Sarah's being. The anguish in her mother's voice echoed against the cavernous walls of the abyss. Memories surged in like a tide, each wave pulling her closer, threatening to drown her in the chaos of unfulfilled promises. Why was it so painful? Sarah protested, battling back tears. She felt exposed, vulnerable, diving into the unknown when all she wanted was safety. Because, her mother replied, her voice thick with emotion, you must choose between love and fear. One part of your legacy is joy, the other, despair. What do you choose to carry forward? The ground beneath Sarah rippled, shadows warring with flickers of light stewing in an inner tempest. But I don't understand. How did this begin? Why did we hurt? In response, the figure stretched her arm toward a swirling vortex nestled within the shadows. "We must look back, Sarah. Some ghosts cling to us fiercely, demanding to be acknowledged. Your past holds the power to shape your future." The air thickened as the clearing enveloped with images her childhood home, the party where candles flickered in the dark, laughter mingled with the scent of cake, suddenly torn apart by a crashing sound. Voices rippling into panic and fear, her father's face twisted in rage, her mother's fragile cries for peace drowned in chaos. "See it," her mother's voice urged, "but do not relent. Acknowledge the fear but stand firm against it." Legs shaky but resolved, Sarah stepped closer to the memory, aware of the tempest brewing inside her. Tears streamed down her cheeks as the scene unfolded before her in a whirlwind of sound and fury. She watched helplessly, the shock gripping her, a single pivotal moment where innocence shattered, and her family began to fracture. I've always wanted to forget," she whispered, almost to herself. The pieces fell into place like a puzzle unraveling around her heart. "Then let it go," her mother urged, her own pain radiating through the connection. "Release the weight of what you didn't do. The past can't be altered, but how you choose to move forward is yours alone." Suddenly, a chill enveloped her as dark tendrils lunged threateningly, each shadow writhing with forgotten secrets. Sarah's heart thundered in her chest, the pressure to choose was overwhelming. If she surrendered to the chaos, would her truth be uncovered or swallowed whole? "I'm afraid," she shouted, voice shaking. "Afraid of what I'll find, afraid of what I've become." A cold wind howled through the darkness, and just when it seemed she might be consumed, an overwhelming resolve surged within her. That warmth, vibrant and electric, flickered back to life. She felt the light battling against the suffocating shadows, an undeniable force echoing her courage. The darkness constricted tighter, twisting the very air around her. "Embrace it," her mother urged. "You must confront the truth to unveil the light." Summoning every ounce of strength, Sarah pressed forward, determination driving her. "I choose to face it," she called into the uprising shadows, shoving against the weight of generations accumulated over years. "Show me the truth, show me the pain. I am ready." With her declaration, the abyss split wide open and a blinding flash erupted, momentarily illuminating the world around her. Faces from her past flickered, screaming, pleading as if they too were terrified of what was coming. And then the moment shattered, Sarah found herself standing at the precipice once more, swirling shadows swirling beside her in harsh applause. Was this the truth? Had she toiled for enlightenment only to be met with despair? The deafening silence that followed felt thick enough to suffocate. A desperate gasp escaped her lips as she scanned the void, searching for any sign, any hint of resolution, but as the swirling mass began to settle, a chilling whisper swept through the air, the echo of something horrifying yet tantalizing. "You have chosen, but now you must act, Sarah." And in that unsettling moment, a new fear gripped her. What awaited her in the light? What choices she would make? With a shudder, she took a step closer to the heart of the shadows, daring herself to step beyond the threshold of her own truth. Would she find herself or lose everything instead? The shadows pulsed around Sarah like an unfurling storm, coiling tightly around her limbs and whispering secrets she dared not hear. She felt a tremor run through the ground beneath her, vibrating with the weight of anticipation. Was she on the verge of something monumental or a catastrophic mistake? "Sarah," the word echoed, morphing from her mother's voice into a cacophony of distant cries. Each sounded like a warning. Her heart raced as she fought the urge to recoil, but courage flooded her veins, propelling her forward into the swirling vortex. The air crackled, sparks of electricity igniting the fraying threads of her will. "Where are you?" she shouted, her voice breaking the dense silence. "Show yourself." The shadows flickered and rippled. Images began to swarm before her eyes, snapshots of joy bathed in color before morphing into scenes of despair, birthday parties filled with laughter dissolving into arguments, warm embraces turning into cold silences, the unraveling of her once thriving family against a backdrop of suffocating secrets. Each image hit her like a punch, filling her with unbearable sadness. Everything we cherished, her mother's voice shimmered from the darkness, laden with sorrow. It slipped away like sand through our fingers. Stop! Sarah cried out, sealing her eyes against the cascade of memories, but they invaded nonetheless, whispering truths that had long been buried. She recalled her father's quiet rages, her mother's desperation in keeping the peace, the weight of disappointment settling hard on young shoulders. No more running, she breathed out, a newfound strength gathering within her core. The darkness trembled, as if reacting to the spark igniting in her spirit. No more secrets. She opened her eyes, ready to embrace whatever came next. The shadows thickened, and from their depths, a figure began to coalesce, a twisted reflection of the person she knew as her father. His eyes glinted maliciously, laced with betrayal, as if the darkness fed on his pain. Why would you want to confront that part of your past? His voice echoed, a sinister blend of her father's concern and the haunting regret of lost potential. You're meant to forget. No. Sarah retorted, her voice fierce. I can't let fear dictate my life. I need to know the truth. With that declaration, the air around her vibrated, and she felt the shadows recoil, creating a crack in their suffocating grip. But within that crack, she glimpsed flickers of light, slivers of love and hope woven through the chaos. Face it. Her mother's voice flooded back, urging her forward. It's time, Sarah. You must claim your truth, whatever it may be. As if summoned by her words, the images of her family surged back, this time showing their humanity instead of their fractures. Her father laughing with her mother, sharing unguarded moments of tenderness, eyes filled with dreams for their future. Memories of warmth crept in amongst the sorrow like daylight splintering through storm clouds. Sarah steeled herself for what lay ahead. The abyss remained open, the shadows still lurking, but strength coursed through her veins. Now she was not alone. Each breath steadied her resolve. Then, in the midst of her introspection, a fresh realization washed over her. The greatest pain she faced was not from others but from her own unwillingness to forgive. The thought knotted her stomach, and she gasped. Forgiveness, she whispered, the word trembling on her lips, feeling like both a surrender and a beacon of hope. Is that how we break free? Can you give yourself grace? The shadows whispered back, a chilling undertone entwining within the question. Or will you succumb to despair? Her heart thundered against her ribcage as she struggled with the weight of the truth. What if she was meant to let go of blame, of shame? Fear bubbled within, teasing her with doubts. Will it hurt? She murmured, staring into the chaotic folds of darkness. Will it cost me everything? In that moment, clarity pierced through her confusion. She saw fragments of herself scattered throughout those memories, some desperately clinging to pain while others were ready to rise. Her choices lay before her, raw and trembling like fragile newborns, waiting for their chance. I choose to forgive, she declared, voice echoing within the marred expanse. I won't let our past steal my future. As she released her statement, the shadows twisted violently, letting out a guttural roar that shook the framework of reality. The sudden surge of energy forced Sarah backward, nearly toppled her, but there she stood, rooted in purpose and unyielding determination ignited by her decision. Now, a new voice emerged, smooth and commanding, yet cloaked in darkness. You've uncovered the first truth, but there are yet more layers beneath the surface. Are you ready to peel them away? A chill enveloped her, and the air thickened as the ground quaked beneath her feet. Fear mixed with excitement, pulling her deeper into the pulsating vortex. What awaited her? Would she find liberation? What unearthly truths lay in the shadows beyond? Step forward, the voice beckoned, and with a deep breath, Sarah moved toward the unknown, stepping into the heart of the shadows. In that turbulent moment, she paused, her heart alive with both dread and exhilaration. This was only the beginning. Was she truly ready to unveil everything? And as she plunged deeper, darkness engulfed her, fueling the question that loomed as she crossed the threshold: how much was she willing to sacrifice for the truth? And what would it cost her soul? The shadows closed in around Sarah, swirling like a tempest, pulling her deeper into their embrace. Heart racing, she felt the pressure of unseen hands wrapping around her, squeezing ever tighter as if to test her resolve. The voice lingered, echoing ominous promises of truths hidden beneath the surface, each syllable electrifying the air. Ready or not, the darkness reveals itself, it whispered, wrapping her in a shroud of confusion. The ground trembled as if warning her of a seismic shift about to occur. "Show me!" she shouted defiantly, fists clenched, prepared to face whatever slithered beyond that dark veil. In response, the shadows quivered, and with a flash of stark light, a new vision ignited before her. A flickering scene unfolded: a young girl, no older than 5, wobbled on unsteady legs, laughter bubbling up from her lips. It was her Sarah, full of innocent joy. But as the image morphed, it turned dark. The laughter faded, replaced by a chilling silence, and Sarah watched, helpless, as the girl fell, hitting her knees on the hard floor. A rush of betrayal surged through Sarah's veins. The weight of her own past sat heavy on her chest like a boulder, suffocating her hope. "Why? Why would you show me this?" she whispered, tears prickling at the corners of her eyes. "Because your pain is the doorway to your power," the voice said, softer now, mingling with the echoes of her childhood. "Every scar tells a story, Sarah. Only through understanding can you reclaim what was lost." With each pulse of the shadows, memories surged forth. Laughter intertwined with screams, warmth dissolved into cold indifference. She saw her mother choking on her own silence, desperately trying to navigate the storm that brewed in their home. The shadows around Sarah shifted, gaining form until they pointed towards another scene unfolding, one she hardly recognized. A faceless figure loomed over her childhood self, anger radiating like heat waves, yelling incomprehensible words that slashed the air. Though the child stood frozen, oblivious, Sarah felt each sting like a bolt of lightning, electric and raw. "Let it go!" she cried out, desperate to scream the pain away, fighting against the shadows that banded tighter, threatening to engulf her again. "First, you must understand," the voice soothed, almost lovingly. "Do you see the cycle? The echo of sadness lives on until it is confronted." As the jagged pieces settled into an understanding, Sarah's insides began to churn. "So I confront?" "Yes," the shadows answered, swirling around her like fog in a haunting tale. "Reveal the hidden scars and take back the light." Taking a shaky breath, she tried to push it all away: her father's rages, her mother's hollow smiles, the pain of abandonment. "But what if it destroys me?" "It is already destroying you," the voice shot back. "Every moment you hold on to fear, despair burrows deeper. Break the chain." Action surged through Sarah, fueled by a desperate urge to break free. "Then I won't just forgive. I'll confront them. The pain won't own me anymore." In that instant, the shadows exploded with a flash of brilliant light, blinding her momentarily. Time stretched like taffy, and she felt as though she was being pulled from one reality into another. She could hear her pulse, loud and demanding, as a flood of emotions welled within, for what felt like eternity, all dark and light blurred together until finally, she landed hard on solid ground. Breathless, Sarah found herself standing in an entirely new space, a darkened room alive with flickering candle lights. The air hummed with tension and electricity. Was this the heart of her truth? Eyes wide, she took in the faces that materialized around her, reflections of her family, her mother, her father, as they locked eyes with her. Each face appeared as a collage of sorrow and love, reflecting back the choices she had made, words unsaid, and wounds inflicted. "It's time to break the silence," someone spoke, their voice a haunting melody in the charged atmosphere. Heart racing, Sarah knew she stood at a precipice. The truth was dangling before her like ripe fruit. But was she ready to harvest it? Could she gather the courage to confront them, to replace accusations with questions? As the tension thickened and the candles flickered violently, uncertainty rushed through her veins. Sarah, the call came again, this time piercing her soul. Will you finally listen? And with those haunting words, she felt a jolt of determination. Deep down, she knew one truth: vulnerability bred strength, and healing was a choice she had to make. As she stepped forward, ready to face her family's legacy, the shadows swirled ominously behind her. Questions loomed like shadows, prickling at her mind. What would be revealed? And was she ready for the hardest confrontation of them all? The thought echoed in her heart as she took her first step into that charged room: what lay beyond forgiveness? The air was thick with anticipation as Sarah stepped deeper into the circle formed by flickering candlelight. Shadows danced around her, each wick of light illuminating bits of her past. A desperate breath escaped her lips. The atmosphere felt electric, charged with unspoken words and raw emotion. Why are you here? She finally managed, her voice smaller than she intended, trembling as it traveled into the space that felt like both home and prison. Her gaze flicked from her mother's pleading eyes to her father's hardened expression, a storm of feelings washing over her. Because you've been hiding, her mother whispered, stepping forward, her voice breaking through the tension. We all have. The softness of her mother's tone contrasted sharply with the shadowy remnants of their family's past, but there was sadness there, deep and real. I didn't hide, Sarah shot back, anger flaring. You left me alone. I was drowning, and you turned away. Each word felt like a raw nerve exposed, unguarded. Yet beneath the fury lay a deep hurt, the echo of a child longing for safety, for love. Drowning? Her father snapped, his voice rising. I was trying to keep things together. You don't understand your mother and I. But before he could finish, the shadows surged, a rush of whispering echoes swirling around them. You both failed. Sarah screamed, her voice breaking through the howling silence. You failed me. That little girl, she pointed to the emptiness behind her, who fell and got hurt? She needed you, and you weren't there. Her chest tightened, panic rising as the air thickened. A flicker of doubt crossed her mind. Was she really ready to face the whirlwind of secrets locked away? The candles flickered violently, casting ominous shapes on the walls. There was a sudden rush of despair that made her stagger. Could she really do this? The shadows seemed to siphon the warmth from the room around her, tightening their grip on her heart. Stop running, her mother said gently, tears streaming down her face. This is the moment to face your truth. We're not here to fight. We're here to heal. It's too late. You can't erase what you did. Sarah shouted, the words bitter on her tongue. It felt like the truth was spilling out, but would it be enough? Would bearing the weight of their shared grief lead to the release she sought? Nothing is ever too late, her father replied, the edge of his voice softening. We were scared. We didn't know how to break our own chains. A chasm opened in Sarah's chest, revealing something unexpected. Sympathy for them mingled with her pain. Could empathy be the bridge she needed? The shadows quivered with possibility, her surroundings shifting as if the universe itself held its breath. What do I have to do? She whispered, vulnerability lacing her question. A very different realization dawned on her: this confrontation was not just about her vengeance, but her freedom. In response, the shadows swirled more intensely, voices rising. Let go of the past. They echoed, as if the very walls were resonating with her desire for release. She took a step forward into the tightening circle. If I forgive, will you all take responsibility for the choices that hurt me? There was rawness in her voice, a tremor of hope mixed with doubt. The room fell silent, a haunting stillness that felt like the world teetering on the edge of transformation. Her family's faces were etched with uncertainty, but somewhere behind their apprehension, she saw the flicker of readiness to face their own complexities, to heal together. Suddenly, a shadow detached from the darkness, forming an outline that loomed larger than life itself. Are you prepared to face your greatest truth? Came the voice, low and echoing, stretching out into the gloom as if it belonged to an unseen entity altogether. Heart pounding, Sarah felt the darkness thrumming in anticipation. What was it hiding? What truth loomed just beyond the veil, waiting for her to unmask it? As the shadow shifted and the candlelight flickered, Sarah felt a chill creep up her spine. Could she summon the strength to confront the darkness lurking at the edge of their shared pain? And that question echoed in her mind like a hammer on steel: what lay beyond the shadow of despair? The shadow loomed, an enigmatic presence swirling through the air. Silence draped over the room like heavy velvet, its weight palpable. Sarah's breath quickened, each inhale feeling like a gasp for air in water she couldn't escape. She could hear her heart racing, a drumbeat of dread echoing within her chest. Greatest truth? She murmured, apprehension tightening her throat. What do you mean? The shadow shifted again, a shapeless form writhing as if it were alive. It's the truth you've buried, Sarah. The truth that binds you. The voice was smooth, like silk, yet it carried an undertone that was anything but comforting. Sarah's palms began to sweat, the candles flickering wildly as though disturbed by the tension in the air. I don't even know what you're talking about. She shot back, the defiance in her voice faltering under the weight of fear. It's the fear of losing those you love. The fear of going on without them. The fear that kept you from trusting, the shadow whispered, and as it spoke, memories unfurled like old scars. The day her parents left, the echo of their arguments like a haunting refrain, the loneliness that seeped into her soul like a poison, her mother's voice was suddenly there, breaking through: you must face the truth, Sarah. It's what we've all avoided. An avalanche of emotions surged within her. Was it true? Were they all still haunted by their own fears? You want me to face what, exactly? To forgive what lies behind? Do you even know if I can? The doubt stormed her mind, a cacophony of pain and uncertainty. Can you afford not to? The shadow retorted, undeterred. You think your pain is the worst of it? Your father, he carries his regrets like stones. Your mother, each sorrow has etched lines across her heart. The reality of that statement struck her like a cold splash of water. Were they trapped by their own decisions? All those years spent in silent agony, all stemming from choices none wanted to confront. Open the door, Sarah, the shadow urged, moving closer as if trying to breach the fragile wall she had built around herself. This is your moment, a chance to break free, but it starts with confronting the truth that haunts you. A voice inside her whispered to abandon the fear, to take that leap. But another, darker shadow warned against the vulnerability that so often led to more pain. With shaky breaths, Sarah lifted her gaze. The faces before her were loaded with uncertainty, but the flicker of hope never entirely went out. What if I don't want to face it? She asked, the tremor of doubt evident. You've been running long enough, her father said softly, his voice almost pleading. But what if that truth is too much? She countered, feeling the chill creep back, curling around her heart. It can't be worse than living in silence, her mother replied, stepping forward, her arms open. Trust us, let us carry the weight together. Sarah hesitated. The path ahead looked jagged and dark, but perhaps there was light beyond the pain. The shadows danced impatiently, urging her to step forward, to throw caution to the wind. Do I really have to do this? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The shadow swelled, its presence intense. It's the only way to discover who you truly are. As she took a hesitant step forward, the air shifted. The shadows began to retreat, merging into a single dark mass that loomed at the door. Are you ready to confront your past? It asked, a challenge draped in urgency. Sarah felt her heart thunder in her chest, a mixture of fear and determination swirling within. Could she truly face this? What awaited her beyond the haunting? The question lingered as she braced herself. If she opened that door to her truth, what bombshell could it unleash? in that moment, everything felt suspended, as she stood on the brink of revelation. And as she gathered her breath, ready to push through the threshold, she wondered, would walking into the truth be the liberation she craved, or would it summon demons she wasn't prepared to battle? The shadows recoiled as Sarah stood before the looming darkness of the door, every instinct telling her to flee. But deep within, a flicker of resolve ignited. What had she learned if not how to confront the heart of her fears? "Open it," she breathed to herself, arms trembling but determined. Her heart raced like a wild drum, pushing her forward. The heavy wood felt cool under her palms, the very pulse of her family's history coursing through it. She turned the knob and pushed it open, heart pounding. Light spilled into the corridor, breaking the suffocating gloom. She stepped inside, and the surroundings morphed into a room resembling her childhood home, its colors faded and echoes of laughter clinging to the walls. Each object was a piece of them, a reminder of a time gone by. They stood together as a family, yet shards of discord lingered just beneath the surface. The air felt thick with unspoken words. "Sarah?" Her mother's voice came from somewhere behind, soft, hesitant, yet filled with an urgency Sarah recognized. "This is the moment. You need to carry the truth forward." Taking a steadying breath, Sarah moved toward the table in the center, memories swirling like storm clouds. "You all hurt me," she began, her voice steady but strained. "You walked away just when I needed you most. Just when everything fell apart." Cutting words still held power, but something had shifted. Her mother stepped closer, glistening tears spilling down her cheeks. "We were consumed by our pain. We didn't know how to help you because we were drowning ourselves." Her father moved, his silhouette taut and shadowed. "I thought I was protecting you. But I see now that my silence hurt you more." The wave of realization crashed over Sarah. This wasn't about blame. They were all entangled in a tapestry of hurt, each thread frayed from the weight of unconfessed hurt. She felt heaviness lift from her heart. She wasn't alone in this anymore. "Then let us break this cycle," she urged, voice firm now. "Can we find a way to release it?" From the shadows of her childhood, flickers of warmth emerged, their memories shimmering in colors long buried. The small joys that had once filled their home now wove their way alongside heartbreak, a tapestry begging for repair. She realized forgiveness wasn't for her abuser, it was her suitcase, not theirs. A sob broke free from her mother, heartbreaking yet full of release. "I'm so sorry, Sarah. I wish I could take back the pain." "It's okay," Sarah said softly. "It's okay as long as we move forward together. But we can't keep pretending anymore." Around her, the darkness seemed to shudder at this new light, the tension cracking under the weight of honesty. Each soul in the room began to transform. "Sarah," her father stepped forward, his voice trembling, "I've carried my guilt like an anchor. But I want this to end. I want us to heal." With that, the shadows swirled again, seeking to protect themselves, but Sarah stood tall, rooted in the truth. "We are stronger than you think. We will not let fear bind us any longer." All around, the physical space began to shift with her assertiveness. The shadows that had weighed heavily in the family home began to dissipate like autumn mist before the sun, each lingering fragment of regret finding its way to the light. A warmth enveloped them, pulling her family closer, dissolving the barriers built from years of silence. "But it doesn't end here," Sarah continued, the energy coursing between them. "We must agree to listen and to share, not just today, but every day after." As those words left her lips, an overwhelming sense of clarity settled in. She let out a breath she didn't know she was holding. "If we're willing to confront our truth together, we can mend this. For me, for us." Her parents nodded, shoulders lowering with relief, their own burdens lifting as they embraced the path ahead, the shadows of their past receding. Could they really do this? Each person's heart seemed to beat in unison, a quiet understanding shared among them. "Let us walk this path together," Sarah said, stepping closer as her hand reached for hers mother's. one step at a time. We'll turn the chaos into something profound. Together. In that moment, the air buzzed with newfound energy. The room filled with light, breaking through the last remnants of darkness that dared linger. Their breaths came easier, hope wrapping around them like a warm blanket, inviting them to embrace the healing that lay ahead. As they held each other, the final shadows fell away, scattered like ashes in the wind. A new chapter began, grounded in vulnerability, compassion, and real connection. They had carved out their way forward, a family reborn, daring to breathe in the light after years spent in shadow. Sarah felt a weight lift. The echo of fear no longer gripped her heart. Excitement bubbled in her chest. This was only the beginning. Step by step, they would rediscover the truth of who they were, together. And finally, she was ready to embrace it all. Now was the moment to seize that power. To make the choice to heal. She could almost taste the hope, sweet and intoxicating, but one last thing lingered in her heart, a deep, urgent call to action. Are you ready to embrace your own truth? Don't wait another moment. If you love this journey, you need to subscribe now to uncover even more exclusive stories to inspire and enlighten. Smash the like button now to help this powerful message reach every corner of the universe. Flood the comments section. Tell me your thoughts, your theories, your own stories of triumph over darkness. And don't keep this transformative tale to yourself. Instantly share this with at least 5 friends who need to hear it. This is the moment to show your support and spread the light. Let's unleash our truths together. What are you waiting for?